Here's a statement by Union Minister Piyush Goyal at Startup Mahakumbh has started a big debate across the country. Now, while addressing the members of the startup community, Piyush Goyal compared India with China. He used this slide to put across his point of view. It says India versus China, the startup reality check. He's compared what Indian startups are doing with what Chinese startups are doing. He said that while we are focusing on food delivery apps, China is focusing on EV, batteries, AI, so on and so forth. While we are focusing on fancy ice creams and cookies, China is investing heavily in semiconductors. He's also questioned the direction and focus of Indian startups. Listen in.
What are India's startups doing today? We are focused on food delivery apps, turning unemployed youth into cheap labor so the rich can get their meals without moving out of their house. And against that, what does a Chinese startup do? Work on developing electric mobility, battery technologies, and with that they're today dominating the electric mobility ecosystem. भारत ने क्या करना है? आइसक्रीम बनानी है या चिप्स बनाने हैं? पर दुकानदारी का ही काम करना है हमें. But I can't take to them grocery stores and say this is India's offering for startups.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
And joining us for more on this, we have Arvind Gupta, head of the Digital India Foundation. With us also is Sushant, Sareen, senior fellow of ORF. Arvind, if I can come to you first, there is a lot of criticism of what the minister has said. Maybe he has a fair point, but there are also those who are saying that why not enable the industry, create a system where people and businesses can thrive. For instance, startups to find funding or even carry out the businesses smoothly. There's a lot more that needs to be done here in India. Is that a fair criticism of what the minister has said? Arvind.
Madhav, thank you for having me on the show. I wear at least 2 or 3 hats when I comment on this. Number one, somebody who studied the Chinese ecosystem very deeply. 2, who is involved with India's startup ecosystem from probably day one. We just came back from the Startup Mahakumbh, where I'm a part of the organizing committee, and we have, the biggest, largest event of such nature happening in India. So Madhav, if you, and I will seek a little bit of patience from my very, very intelligent fellow panelist, Sushant, because I'm going to give you a few things to think about and put it in context what the Honorable Minister said yesterday at the Startup Mahakumbh, where I was physically present. Number one, I think what he has said is to be looked into the light that in the last 9 years, from 350, 400 startups when we had on 16th January 2016, today we are a market, we have startups of 160,000, 161.65 lakh plus startups. The government has itself put a lot of money in the startups, Madhav, to answer your question. 10,000 crore startup fund of funds, another 10,000 crores in this year's budget. Many states have contributed, many other verticals, MSME ministry, Odisha, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra have contributed. So we have a large corpus. India is not a cash-rich, oil-rich country, but still we are funding the risk capital, the patient capital required in all sorts of startups. Okay, we give funding to the venture capitalists who then go and produce a lot more, fund the startups. Now the question really is it or is it a call to now move into a next gear? Many countries took decades, much more than India, to reach this level of 160,000 startups.
Sure.
So what the minister has said, let's put it in context. He has said, we have achieved good things in consumer tech, distinguish between startups and entrepreneurial journeys, and innovation is what is really going to define the startups of tomorrow. Okay. So let's work on this. We have solved the consumer problem.
Let's go point by point, please. This is a very important point. So let's go point by point. I will ask you to just allow Sushant to come in on this, because in the past, Sushant, Mr. Goyal has previously praised India's startup ecosystem. I'm quoting him from June last year, where he's posted on X. Young and vibrant minds are fueling India's startup space with innovative digital solutions that enhance ease of living and generate employment opportunities for our large talent pool. And this is following his meeting with one of the startups. Now, the big question is this, that the minister is just pushing them to bring it into next gear, as Arvind Gupta is saying, and push them farther as far as innovation is concerned. And if you have to compete with China, that has to happen is also one argument. Do you agree with that, Sushant?
Only partly. Look, yes, you know, the startups need to scale up. They need to move to the next level. I don't have any quibbles on that. But please tell me something. What does the minister propose to do with the mass of the unemployed labor who are working, for example, in food delivery apps? Does he have jobs to give to them, or does he want to employ them in government schools and make them teachers in government schools so that the next generation is also destroyed, as we have destroyed successive generations in India? Please tell me, is the government schooling system in India equipped to handle modern technologies? The Chinese are teaching their kids the latest in AI innovations in schools. What are we teaching our kids? Please tell me. So it's very easy to talk about this, you know, you are delivering food to rich people, but there is also an ecosystem. There are warehouses created, there are shops which deliver this, there are food, the restaurants and others who are doing good business, which is also creating employment. So let's not, let's not diss that lot. So we need all kinds of businesses to flourish in India. But please also tell me this, when new companies start up.
So Sushant, you're agreeing with me on all counts. Let me tell you, I am saying the same thing. I'm saying it is an and word.
Okay, let Sushant make his point. I'm coming to you, Arvind. Just a minute. Let Sushant complete his point. 30 seconds, please.
I don't have anything against what you said. What I'm saying is that let's not diss people who might not be doing maybe some kind of high-tech work, but might be doing something much more basic. Because we need that very basic stuff also, because we need to generate employment for those people.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, what about Madhav? And this is something I feel very strongly about, partly because Mr. Modi, when he came into power in 2014, was one man who actually had identified the problems in India's bureaucratic and regulatory frameworks. But 10 years later, have we ended the Inspector Raj? Let's talk about manufacturing. He wants to attract manufacturing in India.
Okay.
Why has all manufacturing or most manufacturing gone to places like Vietnam and Thailand and other countries and not come to India?
Okay, I think there are two very important points. Two very important points. So I want to bring in 30-second responses. I want from both of you after this. Arvind, there are questions being asked. Mohandas Pai has talked about angel tax. What is being stated by Sushant, Sareen is about manufacturing. Have we really achieved the Make in India goals that we wanted to? And there are also questions about harassment of overseas investors on remittances. They're treated badly is an allegation coming in from Mr. Pai as well. These are valid concerns, aren't they, Arvind?
So Mr. Pai is a very, very valued member of the ecosystem. I will always take his comments and then, give it a very studied response. But before even commenting on what Mr. Mohandas Pai is saying, let me tell you something. That all the things that we are discussing today have, over time, over the last 9 years, we started Startup India on 16 January 2016, are all getting resolved one by one. The whole of government approach is working to solve these problems. Startups have the least amount of regulatory compliance as possible in this country. And it is very attractive now with the markets and with the talent pool for startups to flip back to India. And there are a lot of startups flipping back to India from the US, from Singapore.
Okay.
So but coming back to what Mr. Minister Piyush Goyal said, and I am going to be very categorical. India, he has said this multiple times, he's just come off from another event at Startup Mahakumbh, energized by the youth and the innovation that is happening in India. But what he has said, and we have to say this again. Let me please, Madhav, let me complete this, very important.
Quickly, 10 seconds. We don't have much time, sir. Please, 10 seconds.
You need to use the capital, the big people, the big billionaires who are coming out of the first wave for startup need to use their capital, their skills now and experience to build the next deep tech startups. From 4,000 startups in deep tech, we need 100,000 new deep tech startups.
Okay, and this is what the Zepto CEO is saying. His name is Aditya Palicha. And Sushant, this is the question. The startup ecosystem, the government, capital owners must support local champions instead of pulling them down. And therefore, clearly the need is for more innovation and moving to the next generation. For instance, electronic vehicles, AI, all of these are areas where India can do very well.
What is that we are not doing in that? We are actually building. And let me give an example of a startup.
I want Sushant to come in, please, sir. You've made your point. Let Sushant come in now, please.
Look, I don't have a problem that, people scale up, move to the next level of innovation. I'm all for it. But my point is, how are you incentivizing them? Have you incentivized them enough? In India today, it is easier to import stuff, import technology, and become a trader out here rather than make your own technology, innovate out here. And let me tell you something, many of these food delivery apps have done some very nice, interesting innovations. So it's not as though that these are, okay, they might be at a lower end of the food chain, but that does not mean that you simply ignore them. And they're doing good work.
Well, it's a subject of a very, very deep and detailed debate. I suppose Arvind, Gupta, Sushant's team would like to have you on a longer debate, perhaps later next week on this. And certainly this is an issue that every Indian identifies with, because clearly startups have shown that they can be successful. Perhaps it's time for them to up their game a bit more also, as the minister has said. Leaving it there, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us this evening.